Hey, this is Matt Urtz, the Madison County historian. We are still working to document how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted different business places and things. We are really lucky today to have Amy and Brian of Heartstone Artisan Bakery with us. Amy and Brian, thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So for those that aren't familiar, can you kind of tell us what is Heartstone Artisan Bakery?
Heartstone is an artisan bakery that is on our farm, Alhambra Springs Farm here in Earlville, New York. We're a true artisan bakery, so everything that we bake is made by hand and hand scored and loaded into an oven by hand and that sort of thing. We produce naturally fermented sourdough breads, French pastries, French laminated pastries, and a whole gamut of baked goods such as cookies and brownies and cookie bars and pies and cakes and things like that. So we have a production bakery on our farm, Alhambra Springs Farm here in Earlville. So this is where we produce all of our product. And we just recently, just before COVID, opened a retail shop in Cazenovia, New York. So we have a little bake shop there. So we make deliveries to our bake shop 3 or 4 times a week. It's open, during the week and through the weekend. And we also attend farmers markets, local farmers markets, Hamilton, Cazenovia, Fayetteville. And in the past, although now with COVID it's different, we have had, probably 25 to 30% of our operation is wholesale accounts. So we sell to a lot of shops and restaurants and other little stores and things like that. So what else, honey? We also, I just want to add, we add a large percent of New York State stone ground organic flours and grains in all of our breads. We have 8 or 9 of them that are made with 100% organic flours and grains. And then we have some that we add like King Arthur, but we never use bleached flours or anything like that. So it's all very wholesome and healthy. We also produce some of the items that we add to our baked goods on our farm. So I have gardens, so we add herbs and we add other things that we grow. We've been kind of expanding those gardens. We grow a whole huge field of garlic that goes into our garlic breads and on all of our focaccia, onions, things like that. So we grow as much as we can, and when we can't grow it, we try to buy some of it locally, try and support the local environment, local community. So what else, hon?
Well, that's pretty much it.
Pretty much
try to focus on making sure that the product contains as much local product as we can. Try to keep the circle small and add to the security if you can. Small circles are much more secure than large circles. So
well, and the locavore movement's been a thing that's been around for 20 years, and we talk a lot about how far it's reached, the idea of microbrews being such a local source thing. Plus, it's beer in your backyard. Along with I've been historian for a little over 10 years now. And that idea, just what you guys said, when I started, there was maybe 2 farmers markets, and now I'm fairly certain I could throw a rock and hit a farmers market in Madison County.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And we started our organic vegetable farm 20 years ago. So you guys were CSA members of ours.
Yeah.
So that was great. And so we have really seen, just such a huge change from the time that we started our farm. A lot of people didn't even what's organic, what's a CSA, that sort of thing. So it's really grown tremendously in the last 20 years. So there's farmers markets everywhere. We've helped start a number of them, actually, like the Fayetteville one. And
actually, the Oneida County Market.
Oneida County Market. We were one of the first vendors there.
We're not there any longer, but we were one of the first vendors when it opened up.
Yeah.
So you touched base on this a little bit. Talk about, when did COVID kind of appear on your radar, and how did it change how you did business early on?
Well, do you want to start with that? You want me to talk about that? Well, it appeared on the radar. Unfortunately for us, it's been tough because the year before, we had just decided that we needed to expand our operation. We had been holding off. We had a wood-fired oven that we were baking all of our bread in with the wood-fired, and it was just really hard to keep up with the demand. So we had finally made the decision, we hadn't done this in the 20 years we've been here, but we were going to take out a loan, we're going to expand and all that. So the year before COVID hit, we took out a large loan to expand the bakery. 1,200 feet. We bought a large, expensive steam tube deck oven from Italy, big bread oven, so we can bake 120 loaves at a time instead of like 30. And we ended up opening up the shop in Cazenovia. So it hit us really hard because it was like we were going to be carrying that largest amount of our debt for the next couple of years, and COVID hit 6 months into it for us. So that's been a challenge for sure.
And the first impact of it, of course, was when things started shutting down. When the restaurants started shutting down, one case in point right here in the local community is we sold a very large amount of bread to the Colgate Inn when they were allowed to seat people for their bread baskets and their dip bowls and things like that. And you go from 1 week where you've got a major customer to nothing.
So that happened kind of overnight when everything shut down and locked down. We lost 25 to 30% of our business because all of our wholesale accounts, which are all, our large wholesale accounts, were restaurants that were using our breads and bread baskets and that sort of thing. So that basically just like went away.
Yeah.
So, and it still hasn't come back because there, as COVID's still here and restaurants are struggling. The hospitality industry is, really struggling. So that's been the hardest hit for us. And also the farmers markets have really kind of taken a hit. The indoor farmers markets are very slow. We've actually made the decision not to attend some of them because we're concerned about our employees. We really strictly control how many people we have coming and going in our little shop in Cazenovia. So oftentimes we have a line out the door, but we feel it's really important right now, especially with COVID getting worse, that we only let 1 to 3 people in at a time, and people that are, housed together, we can let them groups in at a time, but we're very careful about that. So we aren't, the Hamilton market or the Poolville market isn't even happening this winter. And then some of the other ones, we do go to one farmer's market that's a little bit more space, there's a little bit more air circulation and stuff, we feel. But anyway, so that's been a challenge. And the summer markets got off to a slow start because of COVID and never really picked up to the level that they normally are.
Yeah, it's been a weird year. As someone who goes to farmers markets pretty regularly, and in Poolville is one of my favorites, and I live 45 minutes away, but I still try to make it at least one of the 2 weeks a month. And yeah, it's been a very different setup and runaround. But so you kind of touched base on it. So you lose a portion of your business. Did you try to expand into other markets? Did you try to do different things to make up that business?
I mean, there really wasn't anywhere to expand because that whole aspect was shut down. So what we did do was we really directed all of our traffic to our shop, which helped a lot. That really was a good move. And we have customers that travel all over the place. You guys, when you guys come, you spend a lot with us, which we are appreciative of. And we have other customers that come, from as far away, or sometimes they'll come and just stock up and put bread in their freezers and that sort of thing. So that's been wonderful.
The interesting part of that, of course, there's always, as I would say, paradox in every story. Yeah. And so the paradox of this was right when COVID hit, we saw a pretty good uptick in our online orders.
Yeah.
But of course, the other shoe has to drop because then everything starts being shipped, and suddenly our shipping process
is where it is now, which is all
it's catch as catch can, because I mean, it's one thing if you're shipping something that's not perishable. If it takes 3 weeks for somebody to get a little drum, they're okay with that because the drum is still good shape, but you can't have a bread take 2 weeks to get to somebody here in the United States and have them be satisfied with that. So, there's that place where we've actually had to damp that down.
Right.
That's a part of the market that we've actually had to downsell basically because we can't say to people, oh, you can get your bread in a certain amount of time. We can't, no other carriers, unless it's an overnight shipment. And then you're looking at something where, it's $30 worth of bread and it's $120 worth of shipping.
Right.
So that is a bit prohibitive.
We have an online shop on our website and we ship all over the country. And ordinarily we can pack a priority box and it gets there in 2 to 3 days, and the bread's fine because it's naturally fermented sourdough, so it's got like a week shelf life. People are so excited when they get it. You know, we ship to California, we ship all over, but now we haven't been doing that either very much.
And of course, as the, you know, everybody is faced with the same challenges, which is staffing, who's sick, when are they sick, what happens. You know, just recently, I from my understanding from the Postal Service, the facility in both Syracuse and Rochester were closed down for a period of time because of the amount of employee illness, and one of them actually had to be closed for a number of days and cleaned. But of course, while that's happening, packages are just sitting there.
Right.
Our bread was sitting there.
Yeah, well,
several times our bread was sitting there.
bread and everybody else's
Yeah.
packages. And so, you know, and when you shift, then suddenly all the suppliers shift from one purveyor to another. And suddenly then there's this swell at UPS, let's say. And suddenly UPS says, well, all of these services we can't guarantee. Only the ultra express overnight or something. And so suddenly, you know, now a product that was reasonably priced suddenly is no longer reasonably priced. So, you know, you were talking about that earlier about trying to shift your business into other areas. Well, sometimes, you know, it's everyone shifts to another gear and suddenly you're all in the same place again, you know?
So that brings up something kind of funny too. I don't know if you know Victor from Madison Bistro, but so Victor, when we spoke, talked about, I said, did you guys find that a certain type of food suddenly became really popular? And he said, I've never sold more burgers in my life than I sold in the first part of the pandemic. He was grinding up meat meant to be steak because he couldn't get ground beef, so he had to grind up others. Did you guys find that all of a sudden a certain bread or something that wasn't always as popular suddenly became very popular?
Yeah, basically our healthier breads, we kind of did the flip-flop when everything was very dire and people were very concerned and they were getting this about making sure that your immune system was in good shape. Suddenly everyone found a new life and they went into all the healthy breads and they kind of,
the organic breads, the multi-grain.
Right.
But also, I mean, the bread shelves at the supermarkets were empty. Oftentimes, at the very beginning.
Still are to a certain degree.
Right. And so, you know, we were baking like crazy for that first part of it. And then it leveled off. But we did go to curbside pickup too as well. You asked what other changes we made. We did curbside pickup. So we didn't actually have an online ordering because we felt it worked okay where they could just call the breads in, people reserve their order, and then our shop staff would make sure they had it out by the curb or would bring it to their cars.
But the paradox continues, you know, because it's interesting that right now we're at our worst moments technically with the pandemic. And yet we get notices all the time from all of our service people, like, you know, your insurance people and your mortgage people and so forth. And they have this little announcement in the bottom that says the COVID is over. And it's kind of interesting because, you know,
last you checked, it wasn't.
Well, it's right now we are in total violation of the suggestion by health officials. You know, we're not sequestering, we're not minimizing our contact. We're actually maximizing our contact. We're obviously wearing PPE and so forth, but I mean, as far as behavioral type situations, we're not doing behavioral things the way it should be. When you have a spike in the epidemic, you have new varieties that are supposedly more contagious than the other varieties. We really
got to keep going.
Yeah,
we've got to keep running our business because there's no more deferment on loans. We did receive deferment on the loans for a period of time, but everything's back up and
we're expected to be normal in an abnormal situation. And I guess, you know, that's the beauty of capitalism.
Let me just say too, we did receive the first round of PPP and we are applying for that again. So we'll see, we are down enough, we believe. We're just going to check the numbers, but that we will, you know, if we get in line, maybe we'll get something else again. And that will hopefully help us get through the winter.
Do you guys have personally, do you have talking to your your vendors into the people that buy from you? Do you have a feeling like it's getting better on the business side, or no? I mean, it varies from thing to thing. I know we talked to our tourism director and he said they don't anticipate tourism really starting to pick up again until maybe the end of this year. And more realistically for bigger places, probably not for a year or two, because people are just going to be afraid initially before they do stuff. So are you guys hearing like, hey, it's getting better? Or are you still hearing like, no, we're not ready yet?
I don't hear anything better. And I mean, the last I heard from Dr. Fauci, he also gave that situation and he didn't think that we would be in any kind of normalcy with this virus until the middle of 2022. Well, that's a long process. And I'm not really sure without our loyal local customers banding together as they have to support us, we would be, I'm not sure.
We would be done a long time ago.
Yeah,
I mean, thank God for all of you guys, because we would not be here.
Right.
And I guess we would just say that we're hoping that y'all stick around and make the decision to shop small and shop local and support all of us local businesses, because so many of us are struggling right now. So we need you to make those decisions to really spend your dollars local.
Okay, so a couple more questions. Did you guys experiment at all with this opportunity? So maybe you always wanted to make some weird bread that you otherwise wouldn't have made, but you went, all right, well, we're going to try this and see how it goes.
We are making more to-go meals and things like that now, like quiches. We're starting to make salads.
That's my mom's favorite. Yeah. The quiche.
Yeah, that's what we're starting to do that, because a lot of people are coming in and asking for it. We're actually going to maybe start making some sandwiches on our bread, because people say they want sandwiches on our bread. So yes, we are starting to bring that in. The holiday is extremely busy for us because we have so many orders and that sort of thing. So it was hard for us to add that during the holiday, but now we are doing that.
Crackers.
So, crackers, croutons. We're looking at pasta. We're looking at lots of different other things that we can sell through the shop that we haven't sold in the past. So
I got taught making a habanero hot bread because people wanted some kind of spicy bread, I guess, to go with their white bean soups or whatever.
Wow, that's my wife's thing. She likes the spicy soups. All right, so last question. The last question. How will this change your business moving forward?
That you got the answer, I think, in the second part of the question.
Yeah.
I think, like for everybody in reality, I think this is one of the reasons why the psychologist says that everybody is suffering from PTSD, is because what does moving forward look like? And I think that's the big question that everyone's asking themselves in one shape or another, whether it's out here in the front or whether it's in the back, is how do we move forward out of this? Because we have so many issues that seem to have come to a juxtaposition at the same time, with COVID, our political system, our environment, our economics. I mean, you just name it. It's like everything has kind of come to this point now. And
I mean, I think we're having those conversations every day. We kind of are taking it day by day. Like, what do we need to do now? What should we try now? But I mean, I think more of our business is now, utilizing our retail shop to buy our products. So that's where we're going to focus. That's where we're focusing now, is like takeout and lots of breads and pastries and baked goods. We've got lines out the door. People want it, so we're going to keep making it. So.
And I guess the overarching statement is for everybody is that you have to remain flexible.
Yeah.
And like you were mentioning before in the question, where you said, well, have you tried something that you wouldn't have tried before? I think that's basically the territory that everybody's in, is that you need to be willing to be flexible enough to go, well, I might have had a mindset about something at one point, but I need to hold those old thoughts pretty loosely and be willing to pick up a new thought and say, I maybe never thought I was going to be doing that, but we may have to do it if we're going to continue to I guess, survive. And it certainly, we're going to need to do that if we expect to get back into thriving in a new period of time that's reasonable. I mean, I don't think that, as I say, you can only tread water so long before you sink. You either need to tread water for a bit and then start swimming. And I think that's what we're trying to do as a business, is take a look at, like you're saying, take a look at as many things as we can to move forward. However that may look, however that may be.
I don't think we can end it any better than that. Brian, Amy, thanks for taking part in doing this today. Hopefully we don't have to talk with you again down the road about how you're doing better, but you know, keep up the good work, and I'm sure we'll see you at the bakery soon. I know my wife's probably due to make an order. So thank you all for taking place.
Thank you, Matt. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Bye now.